Welcome to the Brevard News Candidate Forum. Today's focus is up on the Cocoa mayoral race. And joining me today, my name is Kevin Jeffrey. I am going to be your moderator along with two others that are going to join me. First of all, Stale Bailey, who is from the Advocates Voice, and also Kristen Lorte, who is from Brevard Cares Citizens Coalition Facebook group. And our guest and on the spotlight is George Allen Cowart. And George, welcome to our forum. We hope to inform you about what's going on in the Cocoa mayoral race, and hopefully you'll get a lot of information about what George thinks about the city of Cocoa and how you can actually elect or vote for him to see if he would actually help the city of Cocoa to become a better city. George, so tell us a little bit about your background. You have a lot of history. You've been a firefighter before. You've done a lot of things. So just give us a little bit of information about yourself.
Yes, sir. My family's been in Cocoa about 1905, and my dad was born here. I was born here. I love Cocoa. I've seen Cocoa change dramatically through the years of living here, and the last few years just not getting better. And so I figured that we need to step up and make some things happen. My background in Cocoa, I was a firefighter for the county. I've been a land clearing demolition contractor for 40 years. Been a deputy for the last 10 years. I'm an auctioneer and a realtor also. So I do a lot of background, gives me a lot of diverse knowledge in Cocoa and all the areas that we've been involved in.
Auctioneer, that's pretty interesting. How did you become an auctioneer?
Being in the heavy equipment business, I do a lot lot of auctions. I go to a lot of auctions, and I said, I'm going to learn how to do this. So I went to school.
How fast can you go?
I can go pretty quick.
Okay.
I have a lot of charities that call me up and ask me to do jobs for them, and I do multi-auctions for free for charity. So if somebody has a charity they're interested in trying to do something like that, I'm more than happy to do it, and there's no charge. I give back to the community way more than probably a lot should, but it don't matter. It's the stuff you got to do. You got to help.
Why do you want to run for office?
I just see a lot of things in Cocoa that need to be improved on and addressed. We just keep waiting. I keep hoping that somebody would step up and do things. And we've got a lot of development, which I've been involved in. I see things that we need to address before it gets too far one area or another. I watched Cocoa and how they're addressing it, and I don't think that's the way some of it needs to be addressed. So I don't know how much you want to know on that, but.
Oh, no, I was just interested. Is there something that you're seeing in the city that you specifically feel needs to improve?
Right now, we really need to get restaurants. We need to get businesses back. US 1, there are a lot of businesses on US 1. There's all kind of buildings that have nobody in them. 524 is a growing area. We need to get restaurants out there. We need to not just focus on the apartments, which seem to be the big push right now. So we need to get places to eat. We need to have stuff like that help customers, have stuff for people to go and do and places to be, other than we got a Publix out there and a couple small restaurants, which are fantastic restaurants, but we need bigger and better restaurants at this time, mainly out there.
So what do you think the top three problems that you see in Cocoa?
Top three problems, I hear a lot from different people. As far as the people have me, is they're not safe. They don't feel safe. Okay, so whether you're downtown Cocoa, I think we need to get cameras set up down there. It would be a great way to fix that problem and be able to monitor that stuff. We got a lot of homeless people, and we need to address that with any way we can help them and go that way. And just the development, we've got a lot being grown, and we need to look at the substructures and water lines and stuff like that make sure we can support that, as Titusville's already having problems in that area.
Alan, citizens are concerned. I'm a concerned citizen in Cocoa, and we've been concerned with being able to have access to engagement, to being able to feel heard and listened to in the city. Is that something that's important to you as a mayor? And tell us more about that.
That's extremely important to me. I think that you need to be able to listen to the people that you're helping rule the city for. We're not in charge. We don't own the city. We're helping you have a better lifestyle and a better thing. So we need to have this.
Are you sure about that?
Yes, sir. I'm
Okay,
sure.
okay.
Cocoa needs to improve. And you go to city meetings, and I've been at 2 or 3 of them, they're not letting people talk. They cut their time down. When there's one person there, or there's 5 people there, what does it hurt to give people time to talk and air their knowledge and their expertise and their concerns? So I was at one the other day, and they wouldn't let anybody talk. The meeting was put an hour earlier when it was supposed to be, and then they wouldn't let anybody come up and talk. And the gentleman, who happened to be a friend of mine, wanted to talk, and it was a comment of help to the city and praise to them, in essence. And they wouldn't even let him do that.
Wow.
So they don't let anybody get up and talk. You don't know people's problems or concerns, and at the same time, you need to know what they think may be a good solution to how to fix a problem.
I want to
Um,
piggyback.
That's one thing.
I want to piggyback because you're talking about the meetings. You and I saw each other at a budget meeting just a couple months ago. It was the final budget hearing, and there was one participant,
Right.
which was myself.
That was her.
What did you notice as a participant at that meeting, and how the meeting went, and how the single participant was treated?
The council was not letting her talk at all. They had limited her to 3 minutes. They broke the meeting up into 2 groups of what was being discussed, and at worst they should have given her time on each section. They didn't want to do that. They limited her to 3 minutes, and somebody else was given grief because she had asked for a little longer, and so then she had to ask for some more time, and they still weren't giving her time to talk and say. If you step up there, she had a nice flyer made up of all the stuff that she had concerns about and comments on, and they weren't letting her give it any time to do it. They were just pushing it through like they just didn't care and weren't going to listen to it anyway. And that's one of the worst things. I mean, we're working for the people. They're not working for us. We're up here to represent you and give you a chance to say what your concerns are. I mean, that's a big thing. And they just didn't do it.
So how would you approach this? I mean,
One, we need to let people come in. I mean, at the board meeting, at city council meeting, I've been to 4 or 5 lately, and I don't think there's been 5 people in I'm going to say the audience area, the area we'd sat in at all. And I don't know why that is. You would think that there'd be a lot more people at a city council meeting with questions on something done. Now, years back, I changed the zoning on a piece of property. There's probably 40 people in there who want to know what the zoning is on that property. I was down zoning it and making it back from a commercial piece to a residential piece. Nobody had any problems with that because I was getting rid of a higher zoning. But you don't see that now. It's like, well, why aren't people getting involved? And I think it's because they've not been able to get up and talk, or they're not been able to express concerns on a reason. When I'm meeting people now, I'm asking first thing, what's your concerns in Cocoa? What can I do to help you and have a better life in Cocoa?
and what did they say?
A lot of it's crime. A lot of it's homelessness. People. There's stuff being done in Cocoa for homeless people, with homeless people. They're bringing them in and not taking them back or helping them out and do anything. They just bring them in and leave them there. And I don't know why that really turned out to be the happening thing, but they do that. They broke into actually my uncle's house, which is about 500 yards from where they're bringing them in and feeding them and helping them out, and messed up his house. But that's just an example of what's happening. And City of Cocoa seems not to be following up on some of that stuff like I say they should. I've been a deputy for 10 years, and they were not even doing trespass paperwork on a person that was asked to be done. The guy said, "I'm not giving you my name," and I walked off, and I let him walk off. That's not how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to get a name and get this thing figured out. Not that that's just a major one, just one thing of what's happening in Cocoa. And so you got to figure out some way to make it happen. And it's not an overnight fix. It wasn't an overnight problem. But if it don't ever get started, that's what my thing is on all this stuff. If nothing starts happening at all, well, it's never going to get solved. So you've got to have some way, and I don't know everything. I know I don't know everything, but I know I can call people and ask how we do this and what should be done. And that's I think the best part of doing it is that you just got to find the people that know and go with their knowledge.
Can you remind us again how many generations of your family have lived in Cocoa now?
Well, 4 definitely. We're thinking 5 have been here.
Mm-hmm.
There's Lou Gehring Street, downtown Cocoa, right across the street from City Hall, and that was named after my great-great-grandfather.
And what are some of the changes you've seen since your family's lived here for that many generations to now in the city?
Just in my generation, has been massive. The neighborhoods that were middle class neighborhoods have gone down. seems like we're focusing more on that kind of stuff than we're trying to promote people getting up. I think 60% of the people are paying taxes, 40% aren't paying anything. So that's putting the burden of the tax, 100% tax on us 60%. And, let's try to help the 40% get jobs, get knowledge. They're opening a driving school in Cocoa, which I was involved in at one time wanting to do that. I think it's a great thing, give them a place to go learn how to drive trucks. And then they got a job offer. I mean, everybody's looking for truck drivers. So if we can get stuff like that happening, we can get other businesses coming in. Like I said, there's so many vacant storefronts around. It's phenomenal. So why do we have all that? A lot of like US1, it took 3 years to rebuild US1. When Burger King and Wendy's closes down, then there's something happening wrong there. I mean, that was one of the first Burger Kings out, believe it or not. And, they closed down and moved out. And so now we've got a lot of drug stores, the legal stores you come in and buy drug paraphernalia and all that stuff happening in Cocoa, and the Wendy's is one of them they're just doing right now. So I don't think that's a great plus to say that we have it happening in Cocoa.
Ellen, I want to ask you about another thing that the citizens have concerns about. When it comes to the leadership, what I, myself and others are seeing in Cocoa is that the city manager has quite a lot of authority for running the city, and that's the role, that's what the job does. But what I've witnessed over the last couple of years is that the city manager and the mayor seem to be working so tightly together that it is pushing the other council members and the citizens out of the council chambers. How do you see your role as the mayor working with the city manager? Do you think the city manager should be held accountable? How do you see that?
The city manager, yeah, the city council we vote, we make suggestions, or we say we need to address this, and the city manager comes and handles it. The city manager is paid a lot of money, and I don't know what the other managers in the area are paid. It seems like an exceptional amount for the job that is assigned to him, and I don't know.
Good job if you can get it.
It's a great job. Oh yeah, I think
If you can get it.
everybody around here would be more than happy to take that job. And but they're just delegating his knowledge. He's going and saying, if we got to address something in this department, they go and do that. What I'm seeing a lot of now, and I don't want to get sidetracked, is they have a lot of openings in departments in the city, and if one department is losing people, and you say there's somebody in there running them off, but if all the departments are losing people, then we need to look deeper and find out what it is. Is it going how far up that chain? And I'm not making any accusing anybody of anything, but how far up that chain is it going? And if it's to him, then that needs to be addressed too.
And Alan, one of the things that the city manager has is that he has not been having regular reviews. His contract requires an annual review. He has had one, and he did that review in exchange in conjunction with a 2-year contract extension prematurely. So how do you feel about the city manager having regular, rigorous reviews?
Well, everybody should have a job review in their situation. The mayors get reviewed daily by every newspaper and those people around. How do you not have a review if it's in our paperwork saying you should get a review? Yeah, you should get one done. For you to step up and say, I'm not going to have one done or allow one to be done if you don't extend my contract for 2 years, to me, you just hand me your resignation. And I would have asked for it at that time, because I'm not going to give you something to get something that's supposed to be done anyway. Mm-hmm. Why would somebody, and I don't know why they even allow that to happen, because if it's something that's a job requirement or it's in the paperwork that says it can be done, and whether it's yearly, bi-yearly, whatever it is, then it should be done. We get reviews. If you're running for any office, every 4 years your review is, you stink, get out of here. You did great, you can stay. And so that definitely is something that I've seen, and a lot of people have commented on that.
Excellent.
So recently we had a major storm come through this week. Have you seen any issues or discussions about flooding or infrastructure?
We have Cocoa, Brevard County has been blessed. The Lord watched over us. I've been involved in hurricane cleanups for many years. Cocoa, we got very little damage. We had more damage from the tornadoes that came off the storm ahead of time, came through Cocoa and did some damage there. The storm structure, I think basically we're pretty close on what most of it is. Any new sites, being involved in the development for years, supposed to retain the first 1 inch of rainfall. when you get 15 inches of rain in a week, everything is soaked in that's going to soak, and we ended up with a lot of standing water. I think Brevard County again has been very Titusville and Palm Bay. I know they had some flooding happening, but we were very blessed to not have any more than we did. The other side of the state got pounded, and we try to help them whenever we can. But we maybe need to look at the 1 inch amount. May need to be made a little more. If it looks like in the last 5 years we've been getting more rains with more inches at a time, and try to address that a little different. That seems to be the best bet at this point.
And as somebody who has served your community prior as a deputy, do you have any ideas on how you can better support the police and the firefighters in the city?
I'm 100% behind them, being that I was one of them. I understand their problems and tribulations. Everybody loves to see firemen, and I've raised them. Like I said, I was one here and in Georgia. Came back home, and yeah, the city of Cocoa does a great job. I mean, we help them out. The police department, we have some problems there. We need to address them, and I think that can be done in multiple ways. We've got some great officers. I keep saying deputies because I am one, so I keep getting mixed up. But we got great officers. It's not them not doing their job. They're out there trying to do it. They're talking to people. They're meeting people, and they're doing their job. I think they just need more different leadership. Maybe what we need to go to.
Alan, going back to Stell's question about the development of the hurricane and what just happened last week, I'm going to bring that into the consent agenda, because the consent agenda is something that's a very important part of every meeting. And you were at the meeting last week where there was a development item that was placed under the consent agenda during a meeting that was then rearranged an hour earlier, the day before a hurricane. And you happened to be at that meeting, and with this whole idea of we have the consent agenda, which is a non-discussed city meeting piece, and then we have a big development project that's just leading to getting more stormwater. How do you see the role of the consent agenda, and how you would help to manage that, and how you would have input on that as the mayor and its use in Cocoa?
I think the consent agenda, it more or less takes out everybody's chance to say something about the project, giving an insight on it. When you close a meeting up and you do this, and I don't know what it's actually designed for, I don't know the advantage of it, except not let people give you their thoughts, or not people understand what the whole thing is. Mm-hmm. I was at the meeting, and honestly, I didn't have a clue what they were talking about, because they grouped so much stuff and tried to make it happen. And it's like, okay, well, this was that, and we never heard anything else about it. So you don't get full details, you don't get all the information. And if you have concerns, you can't express them because it's passed.
And Alan, the Cocoa mayor will not give an extra 3 minutes per item, as all the other meetings in Brevard do, to speak on the consent agenda, of which this development was a part of that. Would you be an advocate for citizens being able to speak for at least 3 minutes on any item on the consent agenda?
I believe, as a citizen in Cocoa, you should have the right to talk to everybody. You should have a right to come up and say, I have a problem with that. And like I said, it's getting to where I think people just got tired of not being able to talk, so that's why they're not going to the meetings. I don't
think
know.
they've just checked out?
I think they're just throwing their hands up, and they don't think we're listening. But we got to listen. I mean, that's what it's about. That's why we have people up there elected into positions to do our job for us and give us good representation, and that's not doing it. The 3 minutes, I don't know where that came from. I think the other budget meeting was 6 minutes, and I don't know why they dropped it to 3, especially when there's only one person in the audience that wants to say something. It had some nice stuff set up for him. It wasn't just rattling on. She had some good form and points to make.
It's interesting they canceled, or all the other cities in Brevard County canceled their meetings this past week, but Cocoa not only did not cancel their meeting, but they moved it up an hour earlier. Did I get that correct?
Yeah.
You did, and they put on a heavy development item that eliminated a conservation easement on their consent agenda.
This was just an accident, right?
I wondered that because it was only showed 5 o'clock on the computer,
On
right?
the city, on the online
stuff, but out in front of the city hall it still said 6 o'clock. So they didn't want anybody there. I mean, I understand, yes, everybody should be getting ready for a storm. Everybody had concerns on how bad it was going to be. We didn't know. And I'm not telling anybody not to do that, but we were still 36 hours from having a storm here. 1 hour is not going to make a difference. So why do we move it up an hour? I'm not sure.
Not to allow the speaker cards, because you
Yeah.
noticed someone that wanted to speak and you also wanted to speak,
yeah.
and you were not allowed to.
So what makes you different from Blake? Tell us what makes you different from Mayor Blake.
I guess because I've lived here long enough and I look at it and I know what cocoa used to be. I know what we can be again. I think we need to, get in and get businesses going, get people involved in everything, whether it's a city council stuff. They need to all be open to every different ideas. You can't be just closed up and say, we're all going to go this way with everything. You need to understand it. I don't have any background in a lot of areas, but I don't know anybody any favors either. So when I step up there, I'm listening to something for the first time. It's the first time, and I'm wanting you to give me all the sides of the story. So I'm more than happy to give people 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, especially if there's only a couple people there. Let them finish up their thoughts and what they had going on. Nope, it's 3 minutes. You got to stop in the middle of your statement, and it may have been a very knowledgeable statement of what they're talking about. I just think that my concern for cocoa and the people is just amazing. Is just above and beyond what I think you can understand, because I love cocoa so much, and we've got so many areas that have dropped down, and so many areas that just need to be built back up.
So do we have people in cocoa who are disinterested in the people? Have they forgotten that it is the people that are in control?
We got a lot of people in cocoa that no, they understand. They know that we need to make changes. I'm hearing that all the time. We need to get stuff taken care of. Cocoa's it's just went down and down and down. You look at Rockledge. Rockledge has just boomed. Rockledge is now a tear down and build up city, which means they don't have any vacant land. Cocoa, in their essence, and I give this credit to whoever was in charge of it, they started annexing building land, vacant land. They could annex it if they touched it. Some people didn't like the thought, but it increased land volume in cocoa, so pieces of property can be developed, and then put them back on the tax roll, more developed property and everything else. Well, that increased City of Cocoa's chance to grow a little more in a better area and better, capable of doing that in storm and water and all the other, things that are required now. One of the big concerns after coming up to the Titusville meeting is the water. Titusville has got major problems with water. I mean, they've got 6 or 8 wells. Cocoa's got 20-something wells out on the Mormons. They're also pulling out of a lake out there. I've been talking to people about that recently because, Cocoa's got 300,000 people that we service for water. So how many can we do? And that's a conversation I'd like to go have with the head of the water department and find out where they think we need to start slowing down. And that's a concern. I don't, you got to have water. You got to have the infrastructure to handle not only storm drains and stuff, the sewer. You got to be able to handle the sewer stuff. So, it's got to be a whole picture. It's not just part of the picture. That's what I'm saying. You got to see the whole big picture of what's being done. It's not, well, we just want to put this building here. One thing that surprised me in Titusville, they had all these different people wanting to build buildings, and they're saying, well, we got this much water we can deal with, but they're not looking at each separate group already. It's almost like you get yours done first, you're in, but the other guys, I don't know what they're going to do. If you come in, you tail in, you're 20 people from being able to be serviced. Do you not be able to, you're not allowed to build on? I don't know. I don't know what their story is, but I don't want cocoa to be in that problem. Of course, with everywhere we're servicing everything from cocoa to the beach to Satellite Beach and back
even
around.
the Space Center, they're using
Space Center,
portable water
and
for
up
their
in some
pads.
Titusville and some of Orange County, we're pushing water out of them. So there's a lot to be done.
So Alan, tell us, look at the camera here and tell us and tell the audience why you need to be elected as cocoa instead of the current mayor.
I think we
Right
need,
over here, Alan. Oh.
Nope, right over here.
he's pointing me there.
Okay,
We're pointing
okay.
I don't care what I'm looking at. We go with it.
It ain't the camera, it's
That's
what you
right.
say.
That's right. So, cocoa needs some changes. Cocoa needs to get some improvements. I need to get where we can go back and talk to the city council. We need to be able to step in front of them with our concerns, questions, and comments. I've seen a lot of cocoa. We got to get the growth under control, whether it's letting areas grow or not grow. We need to get businesses coming back in there and getting the budget. We got $5 million we decided to give away to the railroad for having a depot there. So I'd like to see and hope that was a great choice. Made some points with somebody. I'm not sure who, but I think that it's still going to be a great thing for Cocoa. It's going to have a lot of businesses that can happen around that, whether restaurants or hotels or whatever's going to happen. Cocoa needs to work downtown Cocoa. We need more parking spaces down there. I hear a lot of that. So there's a lot of areas that I'm focusing on and want to focus on that who we have in there now just doesn't focus on that. So I'm looking at other areas. I saw a flyer today that they put out and they're mentioning things that I've been mentioning. So I think they woke up to some of the fact that
Flattery,
I'm
right?
hoping to say that it was a compliment to me that they decided, well, we're going to step up to this and try to make it happen now. But, they've had chances. They had chances before. And, there's other things that are happening. They've had 4 years to make it happen, and they just need to start making things go.
All right, so that's it for our forum with the mayoral candidate from the city of Cocoa, George Allen Cowart. And we hope that you've learned a lot of information about the race. We are in contact with Mayor Blake and trying to get him on. We haven't gotten a call back, but hopefully he'll call us and he'll come on and we'll get the other side of it as well. Thanks for joining us for this edition of Brevard News, the Candidate Forum, and I hope that you have a wonderful week and we'll see you next time.